Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Donovan Saadiq. I'm the Inland Empire Informer. I want to talk to you guys really quick. It is Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. Man, this year is going by like gangbusters. We are already 6 months in. Half of the year is already over. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like when I was growing up, time was really, really slow. And then as I got past my 30s, it seemed to have sped up very, very fast. So anyway, you guys, the funny thing is I'm doing this video because yesterday I did a video in regards to playing chess versus checkers. And the funny thing about playing chess versus checkers is the mere fact that it had to do with local politics and people asking me basically about the candidates. Now, I want you guys to think about this. Set up the board. We have several candidates that are running for different offices that have attachments to Moreno Valley. So, the reason why I'm doing this video again is because I accidentally deleted the last video and I had all the flyers and stuff, and once I was done with the flyers, I threw them away. I know, dumbass. But anyway, so chess versus checkers, okay? As we know, when you play checkers, it's a very fast game, especially if you're an offensive player. You like to double jump and triple jump and all that other stuff, depending on how you play the role. But we know those of us that play chess or can play chess, it's a very strategic game. And when you're dealing with strategic, it's a long game. It's a long thought out process. You might not get the results immediately like you do in checkers. You get it over a period of time because you're strategically setting up things to happen. The one good thing about chess is this, and I wish more people would teach their kids how to play chess. I was very fortunate to have my oldest uncle on my dad's side, Uncle Ike, rest his soul. I was 8 years old, and if anything he ever did for me, it was show me how to play chess. And he told me there's two kinds of players. There's an offensive player and there's a defensive player. You got to find out which one you are. I'm more of a defensive player. I'm a counter mover, basically. So if you're offensively, I know how to counter move. Okay, and it's funny because it does fit my personality because I'm a counter mover. If somebody does something to me, I think it out and I do the counter move to it. And I think strategically. But if more people would teach their children how to think strategically and how to play chess, I think a lot of these young people would make a lot better decisions when it comes to their lives. Now, speaking as a black man in America, I think it is very imperative that black parents, be it the single mom, or the single dad, or the married mom and dad, teach their kids how to play chess. Because the one thing about chess is this: before you make any move in chess, you have to think of all of the possible parameters that can happen to that piece. Now, you got some people that are offensive players that use pawns and just don't care. They don't care about the pawns. They throw the pawns into the battle. If they get killed, they get killed. However, my uncle taught me a pawn is a very powerful piece if it's used intelligently. A pawn can capture a king, and I've done it one time that I can remember. So what's my point here? We have a lot of candidates that have ties to Moreno Valley. Good example, our current mayor, Yixtin Gutierrez. He's running for supervisor. Mayor Gutierrez lives here in Moreno Valley. He's running for supervisor, which is a group of people, kind of like a city council, that make decisions when it comes to the Riverside County. Okay? A lot of people have told me, oh, I could never vote for him. Oh, he did this and he did that, whatever, and I can understand those feelings, okay? But you shouldn't be voting your feelings. But if you want to do that, that's your right. But you shouldn't be doing that. You should be voting your pocketbook. Because as you guys see, gas is high, food is high. Our taxes keep going up under Democrats. All this stuff, right? So, as far as Mayor Gutierrez, I have just as many issues with Mayor Gutierrez when he took office as anybody else. But after 6 years of watching what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, I have to give the man his props. He matured into the position. So would I say I was wrong in opposing his initial setting? No, I wasn't wrong with that because I had a problem with how it was done. And of course, certain people, let's say like a LaDonna Jimson and her supporting group, and I'm talking about former Councilwoman LaDonna Jimson, which in October tried to do a coup to which we are still waiting for an explanation of what happened. Okay, we're still waiting for that. She just did a coup, and a lot of her supporters thinks it's the same thing that happened with Mayor Gutierrez. No, it wasn't the same thing. He had a quorum to appoint him. I'm very sure there was some things going on behind the scenes, but we couldn't prove anything. He was ultimately removed because he didn't live in the district. Then he ran and won the seat anyway, and that's how the law works. And so he's been the mayor. He was on the council, then he ran for mayor, and he's the mayor. He's been the mayor since, and he's matured into the job. And we have to mature as adults. I vote my pocketbook. I don't necessarily vote my feelings unless I really don't like you. So, Mayor Gutierrez. So somebody asked me, they go, well, what do you think? And I said, well, he lives in the city. He's from here. He was raised here. If he's sitting on the Board of Supervisors, at least we have somebody that has the skin in the game for Moreno Valley. That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling you how to vote. I'm just saying, think about it. If you put somebody else in there that doesn't live in Moreno Valley, we're definitely not going to get heard on the issues and things that we need, okay? We're not going to be heard. They could care less. Maybe that person that wins that seat is from Marietta, let's just say. He's going to do for Marietta, which is a growing area over there, right? We got a lot of problems here in Moreno Valley. We got a homeless population that keeps growing, being people from LA being gentrified out here. There's a lot of LA people that have moved to Moreno Valley. Moreno Valley is a magnet for Los Angeles folks. But the mayor lives here. Can I say, as a member of the board, as one person, can he work miracles? Probably not. But again, he lives here. So is it possible that he could negotiate some deals to maneuver some funds to Moreno Valley to help fix some of our problems? I believe so. And then some of you guys that know him, he is a friend. He might be your neighbor. He might be a former teacher of yours. You got a guy in that position and you have a problem. You might even have his phone number. You can call the mayor and say, hey, you know, what about this? What do you think is going to happen here? Whatever. We have skin in the game. With all my issues with the mayor at the end of the day that I don't have any issues with them anymore because you got to let that go. Those of you that are fighting this warehouse BS, we lost. We lost that, okay? If you're still fighting the WLC war, maybe you need to move or, you know, sit it out. We lost. You guys remind me of people that are like the Confederacy. You got these old Confederates that still think the South is going to rise again, you know, and they're holding on to it. You guys, I am not for warehouse. I'm not against warehousing. I've never been against warehousing. My issue was where the warehouses were being placed. And as you know, we have another warehouse being built right there on Alessandro, just before Heacock Avenue, right in front of the base. When I was a kid growing up, or even as a young man stationed at March Air Force Base, that was the area where they brought the sheep in, if some of you guys can remember, and the sheep would graze over there in that open field over there. Now it's antiquated with warehouses. We lost. We got to accept it. So what we have to start doing now is making this work. Just like Council Member Santa Cruz, when she came on my show, And I didn't agree with her. I didn't. But she's right in some aspects. The warehouses are here. So we've got to now make it work and work in the best interest of us. So what's some of our major complaints, right? The trucks keep tearing up the roads, right? Alessandra, some of the main roads, Paris Boulevard, whatever. And because we've got to keep repairing those roads that aren't built for trucks, by the way, roads in our neighborhoods are being neglected and being pushed off to the side, pushed off to the side, pushed off to the side, right? So if we had somebody that had skin in the game, and that was a former mayor of Moreno Valley that knows some of the issues that we have, don't you think we would at least have a chance to get some funds diverted to Moreno Valley? So for me, I'm just going to speak my truth. I voted for the mayor. I voted for him to be supervisor because I'm playing a strategic game. I'm voting my pocketbook. I think it is in my best interest that I get somebody from Moreno Valley on that board that I can call or at least have an ear. I'm not saying me and the mayor are buddy-buddy, but you know what? I don't have any personal issues with him. And I can tell you right now, when it comes to things that are going on in Edgemont, I have a sympathetic ear. I mean, he understands my issues with what's going on in District 1. And, you know, hopefully the new mayor and Councilman Santa Cruz will work with some of the issues that we have here in District 1. And after 6 years of him growing and myself growing, I have learned that I can attract more bees and flies, or whatever you call it, with honey and sugar than I can with vinegar. Yes, was I upset? Yes, everybody was upset what was going on. But as things have progressed, you have to progress with it. And that's where I'm at as a person. I haven't sold out. I haven't done anything that I think it would be. But, you know, you can't constantly beat these people over the head and expect them to do anything for you. And when one of the last conversations I had with the former council member, Victoria Bacher, rest in peace, she told me, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. How the hell do I expect her to do anything for me when I'm loud talking her, when I'm disrespecting her, and making her feel, you know, like a certain way? Now, she understood that comes with the job. But, she, you know, it was a learning moment for me. Because, you know, coming from the military, I'm used to, you know, do as I say, not as I do, because I've got the rank, right? That's what I'm used to, you know. And for military people, you guys know what I'm talking about. When you come out of the military, it takes a minute for you to learn civilian, okay? That gray area. Military doesn't operate in gray. Military is black and white. But to get to that gray area. And it hit me. She was right. If somebody talked to me and was doing all that stuff to me, I wouldn't be very receptive to anything that they're saying or what they're requesting. So I had to learn that. Okay? So, me personally, I voted for the mayor, for supervisor, because I'm playing a strategically chess game. Chess is so strategic and is so important. The military still uses it today to initiate war games and to program its computers. Go watch the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick. They still use it to this very day because that's how life element chess is, okay? So we had Aja Smith running for Congress. Aja Smith lives in Moreno Valley. Aja Smith is within the Republican Party's framework at the local level. Who do you think I voted for? Other than that, and she's my friend too, so I voted for her because I know her as personally, and of course I would have given her my vote. As you guys know, I worked on Mark Takano's campaign when he initially ran and won for Congress. One of my biggest regrets I've ever done, okay? Biggest regrets I've ever did was to help get him elected, okay? Because he actually became what he said he wasn't going to do. And he hasn't done shit for black people in this district. And he pans to the veterans when it's election time. Outside of that it's all LGBTQ elemental P stuff, okay? Doesn't do anything really for the district. So yeah, I voted for Aja Smith. Why? She lives in Moreno Valley. She has ties to Moreno Valley. Strategic. I'm thinking strategically. Corey Jackson. I don't believe Corey lives in Moreno Valley anymore. I think he did when he was younger. But he had a nonprofit here, so he has ties here. Matter of fact, he was on the traffic commission or something like that, I remember. So he had to have lived in the city. I'm not sure if he lives in the city anymore. I'm not sure. I think I heard rumor he lives, maybe in Paris or one of the new areas that have developed with housing and stuff. But he still has ties here. He's running for assembly. Speaking for myself, why do you think I voted for Corey Jackson? I have no issues with Corey Jackson. No issues whatsoever. Younger, he's ambitious. I hope things work out. I do have a problem with his endorsement with Planned Parenthood, but it's politics. He needs the endorsements, so he gets the endorsements. He's going to do what he's got to do. But my point is, he has ties to Moreno Valley. Guess what? And I know him. And let's say we needed something here. You don't think that I could contact Corey Jackson and say, hey, Corey, what about some funding for these roads? What about, and get that. Strategic. You guys got to think strategic. I don't see how any other way you're going to do it. The board has been set up. We have the undersheriff of Riverside County that's a council member. So you guys, let's get this straight. Even though he's not my council member, but he still represents Moreno Valley. You have a problem in regards to the sheriff's contract that Moreno Valley pays 20% of. Of course, it's a conflict of interest for him. He has to exclude himself when it comes to that negotiation, I'm very sure. But we have the number 2 sheriff in Riverside County that is on our city council. The board has been set up for Moreno Valley to make a comeback and be a significant city within Riverside County. And it's up to you guys to vote to set up the board like that. That would be awesome. So if you think you had the former mayor, Corey Jackson in the assembly, the mayor, Gutierrez as supervisor, the undersecretary as a council member, right? Let's say in the next 2 years, Aja Smith in Congress. Do you know how much influence Moreno Valley, the city of Moreno Valley, would wield in the Inland Empire? Do you know how much influence that is? Strategic. Chess versus checkers. So anyway, something for you guys to think about. We have, I think it's 7 days now before the election. So if you guys haven't voted, please go do so. If you haven't registered to vote, please go do so. These elections now are getting more and more pivotal. It doesn't matter if you got an R or a D on your name. Vote your financial interest. But before I end this, I just came back from Adrian Mitchell Park, and I know a lot of people say, well, why is Donovan always harping on Adrian Mitchell Park? As you guys know, Adrian Mitchell was the very first soldier and resident of Moreno Valley that was killed in combat, black female Army private, during Desert Storm, Desert Shield. And she was a friend of mine. And her park is right up the street within walking distance of my house. And she was my MEPS buddy. So if some of you guys that understand what MEPS is, the military entrance, something, whatever. You go there and you get your medical checkout to see if you're suited to join the military. And she was my MEPS buddy because I remember that, you got on the bus and stuff, and if you're from the same city, you know how people gravitate to each other. So, oh, you're from Moreno Valley? Oh, I'm from Moreno Valley too. So we would gravitate, but because we're male and female, of course, we got to MEPS. They had to separate us because she had to go do her thing for the female thing, and I had to go do my thing for the male thing. But the point is, we were MEP buddies and stuff, and we're the same age. And we served both in Desert Storm, and she was killed in a barracks attack, and I was in Diego Garcia. And I remember watching on CNN in my tent that this barracks had been hit in, I forgot, was she in Riyadh or Jeddah? I'm not sure which one. I think she was in Riyadh, and the barracks got hit, and she was one of the casualties of that barracks hit while in country fighting for this great nation. So for me, Adrian Mitchell Park is very important. I made a vow that I would do everything I can to maintain her memory at that park and to keep that park up. That's why I call in the graffiti. I make requests. I mean, it's something that's important and dear to me, and it's endeared to my community here in the Edgemont area. But why I'm bringing that up is because I don't think we give enough credit to the unsung heroes that keep that park up. And I know City Manager Mike Lee and the people at City Hall monitor my page, which a lot of people do, but they say they don't watch the show, but they could quote everything I say in it. We don't give enough credit to the maintainers of that park. I'm telling you, these guys are such top-notch professionals. I mean, they keep it up, they keep it clean, they monitor it. I mean, I cannot be any happier with the professionalism of our park maintainers. And, you know, unsung heroes, you know, they do their job. Some of those guys, you know, when I walk my dog or I go there every day and I'm talking to them, and, you know, always on top of it, asking me, you know, hey, you know, what do you think about this? Hey, we just finished this. Did you know about that? I mean, great communicators and people that actually, I don't believe anybody loves their job, because if anybody had a choice between working and being on vacation in Tahiti, I think they would take the Tahiti vacation. But such professionals, and you know, and they always go so unsung, and that's why I don't like to take credit for anything, because I could care less. But it's the people who are actually doing the work. I'm not putting in the new doggy dispensers. I'm not putting in the new benches. I'm not getting rid of the graffiti. I'm not doing any of those. I'm not picking up the trash around there. Sometimes I did, the little trash, but I'm talking about on a professional level. I'm not doing that. And our maintainers, top notch. And if, you know, those of you guys that have never been to Adrian Mitchell Park, because it is in the Edgemont area, a lot of people don't know about it. It's a pretty active park, and it's a pretty big field. And just today, I saw them digging up the valves because, you know, there was a leak. And I'm not an expert, but I know a leak when I see one because I was a mechanic. And they were digging up the valves, and sure enough, the valve wasn't closing, and they're changing it out, whatever. Because the thing about Adrian Mitchell Park, we're in a drought, and I had noticed that the field was being very, very saturated all the time. So I said, yeah, there's got to be a leak somewhere. And so I just was monitoring it, and I finally, you know, called it in. And of course, they kind of already kind of knew about it as well. They just, you know, whenever they got to it on their list, and they finally get to it. And sure enough, the valve isn't closing. They're changing the valves out. It's been there for years, and that's great. If that valve has been there for 30, 40 years, awesome. So, but it's time to change it. And they're out there doing it. And for those that you guys that don't know, that field is big enough to host a whole soccer field. I mean, it could do a whole soccer field thing. So those of us in the Edgemont area, once all that dries out and gets the way it's supposed to be, we might have, even if it's just a practice field, it's a nice place to sit and watch our neighbors and our children practice their football, their soccer. Sometimes you see our neighbors doing volleyball there. It's a highly used field. Now, one of my neighbors had asked me, he goes, hey, Donovan, when are we going to get a bathroom? You know, and I had to explain it to him. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time because when this park was originally built, it wasn't built for the multifamily apartment houses that sprung up on Bay Avenue, the Bay Avenue apartments and family homes and units. So now you've got all of these people that are coming there using the park. And yes, you know, we're working on it. We're working on it. Councilwoman Santa Cruz is aware of it. The mayor is aware of it, and it just takes time, and the director is aware of it, and you guys have seen me at City Council talking about it all the time, and we're going to get it. It's just going to take some time, so I ask you guys just to be patient. But yeah, the field will be dry by summertime, so you know, don't be surprised in the evening times you're going to see some soccer games right there, even soccer practice. The lights are being tested, whatever. We're going to get those lights, and pretty soon, when the kids come out to practice for soccer, and daylight savings time kicks in, there's going to be light so that they can do so. So things are doing really, really well. And I think the reason things are doing really, really well is because we're getting new faces in higher places to do the job that the previous folks ran out of ideas and they became complacent. I think that's a big problem in politics. You have people that are like 78 years old, just like our national politics. Nancy Pelosi, these people that should be gone by now, that are just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. So again, top-notch guys, I appreciate you, and I want to thank you guys. And again, it takes the citizens letting the servants, and I don't mean that in a derogatory term, but letting the servants, the council people, the mayor, let them know what's going on. Yeah, we could talk and bitch and moan among each other, but if you don't use the city app, which they have, go to Google Play and Apple Store, the Moreno Valley City app, and that's what I use. It does graffiti, dumping, you name it. You need emails to the departments, to your representative. It's all on the city app, okay? But here's the thing. If you don't let them know there's a problem, how the hell do you expect them to fix it? Osmosis? They're supposed to read people's minds? If they can do that, they would have won the lottery and left this city years ago. Okay? So you guys download that city app. When you see graffiti in your neighborhood, you could phone it in and text it in anonymously. They don't even have to know your name. When you see abandoned shopping carts from the homeless people, call it in. You live there. You live there. You can't keep blaming the city for something they don't know about. Moreno Valley is geared to make a comeback, you guys. We are geared to make it. The base is right there in our front door. It's right there. The biggest employer of the city is that base. We've got people in positions to funnel money and resources to the city of Moreno Valley. And people are voting based on how they feel. We're not going to get anywhere doing that. Vote your interests, vote your pocketbook. When it comes to politics, vote your pocketbooks. I'm Donovan Saadiq. I'm the Inland Empire Informer, also known nationally as a recovering Democrat. You have just now been informed.